Ladies and gents, how you doing? This one here I wanted to share far and wide because it's great to watch. The New Culture Forum, set up by the late Peter Whittle, God rest his soul. One of his acolytes was on BBC's Sunday Morning Live and schooled Owen effing Jones. That's the way I refer to him these days. The man is a walking toilet. He doesn't believe anything he says. He doesn't believe anything he says. That's why I want to show you this video. It's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. Owen Jones definitely doesn't believe the stuff that he says because you can tell by the way he speaks and writes. He's definitely not stupid. Definitely not. So he doesn't believe the stuff he says. He says it, dear viewers, because he's such a spastic, right? We're addicted to sharing it. I honestly believe this. I think he says it knowing that everybody will share it. He'll get more clicks and YouTube subscribers and more people reading his columns and his Substack or what have you. Because there's no way a bloke that isn't special needs is this hypocritical and stupid, so irrevocably dense on purpose. He's got to be doing it on purpose. Anyway, we'll watch this. Here he is on Sunday morning getting schooled by Emma Webb. And obviously she's going to put some good stuff in there, but I feel like I need to add my 2 cents because she's far too polite, isn't she? She's far too polite.
Yeah. Shamima Begum, who was a young woman, who was a girl who was groomed. I would say those Brits fighting for Russia are far more of a problem. No one's calling for their citizenship to be stripped away. Why are we applying these double standards?
Let's just qualify that's because you don't have dual nationality and someone else
might.
No,
that's the point. So we're saying what we're saying is people of colour in this country. We're saying you're not quite as British as
Emma doesn't really address this point, but I will. Once again, referring to this blind spot or staggering hypocrisy you choose. How come when Shamima Begum goes and watch people get their heads lopped off by full-blown fanatics like cold-blooded killers, how come when that happens they say, oh, it's not her fault, she was only a kid, or she was only a kid, but then when they want to do something, you know, cheating, rigging elections, like, I don't know, letting children vote, then they go, oh, kids are sensible. Kids are switched on. Kids, they're the future. We should let them decide. Even though anybody with 2 brain cells to rub together knows kids are stupid. And if you're having a life crisis, you go and ask your mum or your granny for advice, don't you? You don't go, oh, I'll go and ask my 14-year-old nephew, see what she thinks. It's unbelievable. So there's just one point I wanted to make before we get into it. The astounding hypocrisy of these brain-dead oxygen thieves on the left blows my tiny mind. It really does. When it suits them, if it's for their side of the aisle, then kids are clever, kids are smart, listen to the kids. But when it doesn't suit them, oh no, kids are vulnerable, you got to protect the children. Yeah, they're okay with 9-year-olds learning about felching, but they're not okay with 17-year-olds getting the citizenship stripped off them. Do me a favour, Owen. Even you aren't this stupid, are you, son?
If you cross a line, we'll take away your citizenship, but that doesn't apply to other people. So you're literally saying there's 2 categories of British people in this country.
Can I just get Emma? Because I need to just get Emma in here. I mean, that issue of colour, we're disproportionately affecting people of colour. What the points that Owen makes and Shabna makes, they're right, aren't they?
Well, no, but the reason for that is because white people are a global minority. And so, of course, people with dual citizenship are more likely to be people from other races. However, in the case of Jack Letts, Jihadi Jack, he was a Canadian citizen who was stripped, dual citizen, who was stripped of his citizenship. So it's clearly nothing to do with race. It's to do with whether or not you have dual citizenship and whether or not you go and join a terrorist group. And now,
that's an obvious one. I'm sure you all know who he is. White bloke. So it's not about race, is it? Did you see Owen Jones champing at the bit there as well? I think that's the longest they've ever managed to keep him quiet for. You could see him little tapping his fingers away on the couch, like desperately trying not to interrupt, because the horrible little pipsqueak can't keep his mouth shut for 2 seconds when his betters are talking. Anyway,
case. It's to do with whether or not you have dual citizenship and whether or not you go and join a terrorist group. And now, one of the reasons why we're talking about this today is because of Alaa Abdel Fattah. But in his case, he should never have been given citizenship in the first place. So this raises a whole new issue where people are getting citizenship far too easily. He got citizenship purely because his mother was born. If I could finish my point, he is British. He was made British in 20.
Trying to interrupt there. He's British. No, he isn't. No, he definitely isn't. Bit of paperwork is worthless. The whole of the country knows this, who isn't a woke sociopath. It's obvious to anyone. He isn't British. He'd never even been to Britain. He wasn't born in Britain. He hasn't visited Britain. How are you British if you've never ever been? If you weren't born there? If you never even lived there for a year? What are you talking about? It's completely mental. If the Chinese government sent me a little bit of paper saying, "Hello there, you are Chinaman now," would Owen say, "Oh yeah, he's definitely a Chinaman"? He's definitely Chinese. That bloke who's never born in China and hasn't been to China, but he got a little bit of paper saying he's Chinese. It only works one way. If I made the claim that I'm a Chinaman, it wouldn't wash, would it? But when someone who's a full-blown terrorist, who wasn't born and wasn't raised and didn't even live in the UK, apparently he's British. What are you talking about? Does that honestly make sense to anybody who's even remotely impartial? Does it? Magic paper. Come on, Owen.
She's British.
Okay,
Yes,
She's British born and bred.
Please let me finish my point.
Okay.
So he was entitled to British citizenship because his mother was born in Britain while her mother was studying a PhD here.
She's not British. She's an anchor baby. She was in Britain for about a year. The pair of them are about as British as, I don't know, Jimmy the Eskimo. One of those tribesmen from the rainforest of Brazil with a bone through his nose who's never been anywhere near civilization. It's ridiculous.
She was entitled, therefore, to transfer that citizenship to him in 2021 as a means of trying to get him freed from that Egyptian jail. Now, because of that, because of various court cases that mean that you basically don't have to do the good character test if you have a parent who is a British citizen, he was entitled to skip that and just to become a British citizen.
Because he's British, and that's what the point.
Because he isn't British. Even you don't think he's British. Wasn't born in Britain. Has never been to Britain. This isn't rocket science, is it? Is it? Not complicated.
Yes, but
you didn't have to do a good character test, did you? Because you're.
Well, no, I was
British.
born here and I'm not a dual citizen. But my point
he's a British citizen.
My point is that given the sorts of things that he was saying online, how much he clearly doesn't like white people, clearly doesn't like British people, doesn't like Britain, has said all sorts of awful things that would be considered incitement to violence, that he should never have been given British citizenship in the first place. So if the government make a mistake, they should be able to strip people of their citizenship.
Shabna, I'll come to you in a minute. I just want to get Owen to respond to that because you wanted to jump in.
Yeah,
three
or four times you did, you necky little twat.
times doing that.
Lots of people say very offensive things for British. No one would ever dream of calling for their citizenship to be stripped away. These tweets are from 13 years ago, not when he was a British citizen. He was imprisoned by a brutal dictatorship this country arms, woo, patriotism there, and he was released because, as a British citizen, given his mother was British born and bred, the British government argued.
Not born and bred, liar. Not born and bred, liar. Liar. She was an anchor baby. She was in the UK for about a year and then back to Egypt. So she wasn't born and bred. Owen, you lying, devious, two-faced little toad.
Successfully for his release. You're not calling for other people who say unbelievably offensive things to have their citizenship stripped away. That would be millions of people in this country.
May I come back on that?
Yeah, briefly. And I want to try. I know you're waiting, but
that is because non-citizens have different rights to citizens, and he said those things when he wasn't a citizen, and that should have disqualified him from citizenship.
We don't want to get into the one specific case. We're talking about the broader issue.
And I think that's really important.
So then he shut it down, right? So basically, they're in on it as well. It's the BBC. They shut it down too early. She was going to tear him up for arsehole paper. Another good point to make here, which I want to finish on, is so the shocking hypocrisy about the whole, 17-year-olds are just kids, but 16-year-olds can learn about fisting, right? That's the type of stuff they come out with. And the second point I'll make is, did you see Owen crying about how it was 12 years ago, 13 years ago? Did you see that? Yeah, there it is. These tweets are from 13 years ago. Oh, these tweets are from 13 years ago. This is the same bloke who was kicking and screaming and threw his toys out the pram, slagging off Farage for juvenile playground taunts 47 years ago. Think of that. 47 years ago. He was going, all right, not bad. Get away from the darkies. When he was a kid in school, having a laugh. But apparently, that's the crime of the century. And old Frogface wants hauling over the coals for it. Because, you know, it might be 47 years ago, but he was a little bit wooed. However, if you're calling for mass murder 12 or 13 years ago, that's totally fine. Because it was 12 years ago. Tell you what, it does make you think. Is this how their brains work, the woke? As long as it was 12 years ago, it was fine. I'd love to know how many skeletons he's got in his closet, Owen Jones. What did you get up to 12 years ago, Owen? Makes you think, doesn't it? So, ludicrous hypocrisy from Mr. Jones. Well done to Emma for shooting him down in flames, showing the rank hypocrisy to all the world, for everyone to see. Everything they say is ridiculous. Up is down, left is right. It's fine when they do something 12 years ago. It's not fine if you do something 47 years ago. You couldn't make this stuff up. Anyway, let me know what you think. The man is a worm. Even listening to him for more than 10 seconds drops my own IQ. So I'm going to have to stop this and go and, read a long book or something. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll be around tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Toodle pip. Cheers.